What happens when the planet for luck and prosperity, abundance, expansion, the big guy, Jupiter, fairy godfather, enters into Taurus for the first time in 12 years? And what does it mean for your sign? We're going to go into that because he's doing his Jupiter in Taurus dance starting this May 16th, 2023. He'll be there until the 25th of May, 2024. That's a nice long 12-month unbroken stay. We can really learn a lot from this by looking at the history of how this transit's worked out in the past for the world. And then you can also look at how it worked out for you in the past individually based on your rising sign. Sun and moon you can listen to as well secondarily. If you don't know your rising sign, check out my free description box stuff below. I got a tutorial on how to cast your charts and whole sign houses using free online software, and then you'll know your rising sign. So first of all, let's get going and talk about me first. My name is Lori Lothian. I'm a whole sign house astrologer. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac. I love asteroids. I'm a junkie for them. In this video today, we're not talking so much about the asteroids. We're talking about the planet Jupiter, how he's going to hook up with Saturn. Yes, Saturn in Pisces in a way that we haven't seen for many years. And that's going to be its own story, this coming up for us all and individually, as well as he does this really long dance with Venus throughout the summer that's also exquisitely rare. Now, some of this I'll be covering in a more of a deep dive in my videos for each of these things as they arise, but we'll talk about the idea of it for you. Jupiter also next year touches down with Uranus in April, and that's explosive energy and very exciting. And I'll also touch briefly on that for the world, but also for you. Now, settle in with a cup of tea, or for me, water, because this might be a little bit longer video than I normally do, because I want to make sure I get a lot of content in here. I did an earlier video in December on the same topic. You might want to reference that video. To be honest, I'm not listening to what I said back then. Hopefully some of it overlaps, but some of it will probably be brand new. If you're new to my channel, please hit the like button and subscribe. It does help the channel grow. If you're in the live premiere watching me as this is going into premiere mode, also don't forget to hit the like button. Let's talk about the sky. Now, first of all, Jupiter. Yeah. So, he kind of is like, the god with the thunderbolts, but the good thunderbolts, head of Mount Olympus, considered benevolent in India. He's guru, dispeller of darkness, bringer of light. He can be the teacher. He can be the leader. He can be the guide. He's about expanding things. He's called the greater benefic. Venus is the lesser benefic in traditional astrology. So right away, we pay attention to Jupiter and where he goes, because where he goes is where the goodness goes, ideally. I will qualify that Jupiter can bring wise, like King Solomon, like blessed endings to situations that are harmful for the world or for us individually. Let me give you one example, if you don't mind, because what we're going to see with this Jupiter transit through Taurus, right, we haven't seen for a while in terms of the hookup that he's going to make with Saturn. So I've got my notes in front of me just so I can remember the date. I saw that. The last time he hooked up with Saturn was, it's only 3 times in 100 years. Where did I put that note? Here we go. So April 24th, 1964. Coming up is 2083. And here we have one coming up this June 19th. So Saturn entered into Pisces for the first time in about 30 years in the month of March. That was happening around March the 7th. And then he'll be there till February of 2026. Saturn, Lord of time and karma, restriction and constraint, limits, holding back, as well as structure and discipline in Pisces. Now, there will be a big boom in the metaverse, augmented reality, simulations, AI, making the real, unreal, real seem real and tangible. That robots, Saturn with Neptune and Pisces, robots. That's a story over the next 3 years. But that aside, what about what's happening here with Jupiter? If it's so rare that we haven't seen it since April of 1964, and we're having it now, June 19th, of 2023, what kinds of things occurred back then that could be happening again? Well, one of them, Saturn restraint, Jupiter expansion and goodness and justice and rules and law in Taurus, the sign of things that grow on the earth. There was in the United States a decision to put warnings on cigarette packages that could cause harm to your health. So there's this energy of constraining a difficult situation and making something good happen here, especially when it comes to Jupiter, justice, law, and legal matters. So that's just one example. I'm going to talk about more things that can happen here. I'll tell you one thing I expect. expect troops to pull out of places where there are wars. I know that that sounds like, are you sure? Really? How so? But back when this happened in the 1960s, France pulled out of Algeria, and somebody else pulled out, the UN pulled out of, the United Nations troops pulled out of the Congo. So there are troops, of course, in the Russia-Ukraine dispute and other places where troops are in the world. You might see a pullback and a constraint, because Jupiter can rule commander energy, things to do with war, but also he's in land. Now, Jupiter going through a house of land, Taurus, can be land expansion and land grabs. And we did see some of that in the 1940s. Now, we'll get to your sign, okay? But let me give you an example of that. When Jupiter was in Taurus in 1940-41, alrighty, during that window, and the exact time frame in 40-41 was May 16th of 40 to May 26th of 41. There was a lot of stuff going on, but it was the beginning of a time in which you saw the rise of territorial land grabs, Hitler, Europe, World War II. And we saw the rise of dictators like Mussolini, and we also saw the rise of Hitler, of course, another example of a dictator, a megalomaniac, rising to power and trying to acquire or accrue land. And so this time around, would we see something possibly similar? We may, or we may not. But I just want to point out that this is possible, right? Now, we also have the situation where Uranus is in Taurus, and he hasn't been there for quite a long time. That goes back to 1940 and 1941 as well. So in 1940 and 41, with Uranus in the sign of Taurus, we experienced this kind of time frame in which new things were occurring, women's wages, women going to work, cutting edge, breaking the rules, busting out justice and fairness for all. I think in Australia, they had a wage women's law passed, but more importantly, women had to go back to work or into the workforce to do jobs that men traditionally held. So that's one way that could play out, that Uranus and Jupiter thing. And, technically, Uranus just wants to be outside the box, inventive, rule-breaking, freedom-loving energy, something new, something different, something busting out of constraint. I also feel like with this combination of Uranus waiting to meet with Jupiter, which is April of next year, get ready for that. We'll be doing a whole video on the week that those two are connecting with each other. You can expect some really exciting, really explosive events to occur collectively and individually. Back in 1940-41, there were some tech innovations, because you can get tech innovations with Uranus, especially practical, useful ones, Taurus, and Jupiter, expansion and growth. So at the beginning in 1940-41, transit of Jupiter through the place where Uranus was also sitting and traveling at the same time was the first working computer and first jet planes. Yes, working computers and jet planes. And in fact, even without Uranus, back in 1976-77, when Jupiter went through Taurus, was the beginning of Apple Computer. And often Jupiter and Taurus begins new kingdoms or empires. And we often think of land empires, like land grabs, new like kingdoms on earth. But in our modern day, we have corporate kingdoms and we have entertainment kingdoms. So back when Jupiter was moving through the sign of Taurus, which would have been way back in 1928-29, before the stock market crash. The stock market crash in 1929 happened after Jupiter moved into Gemini in the fall of 29, a sign of instability. But there was a lot of excess, by the way, as the roaring 20s was building up to the big crash. And so Jupiter and Taurus was maybe some excessive luxury, excessive, great Gatsby moment, of course, women, suffragette movements, that was happening even without Uranus. But back then, in that time frame I'm talking about, the Disney kingdom, the Disney empire was founded back in 1928-29. The McDonald's empire, McDonald's Burgers, was founded back in 1940-41. So we're seeing an Apple in 1976-77. These are times when Jupiter was moving through Taurus. So I'm expecting maybe another kingdom to start up, some kind of, virtual or real kingdom. The last time Jupiter was in Taurus was 99, spring of 99 to spring of 2000. Can't remember what was going on then. Was that You've Got Mail AOL, or was that before then? When was I doing AOL? No, I was doing AOL before then. But there may have been some birthing of new kingdoms. And then finally, The last time this happened was June 4th of 2011 and June 11th, 2012. Okay. So if you want to go back personally in your life and think, well, what was I doing from June of 2011 to June of 2012? What part of my life was most expanding and changing in a positive way? Every time it's going to be different. This time we have Saturn in a sextile relationship, a whole sign sextile to Jupiter, which is highly auspicious, okay? And we have a square during the summer months. It's ongoing. It's going to take a while for that square to happen, but it's in Leo. Venus is traveling in Leo for an inordinate 4-month stay because of a retrograde. And so we'll see the sextile to Venus and Leo also play out, even though it's a square. Sorry, should I say square? It's still Venus, a benefic, and Jupiter, but it can look like indulgence and excess and over the top energies, you know, things just going a little bit excessive. It reminds me of the Roaring 20s. I hope we don't have a faux kind of like everything's wonderful, the pandemic is healed, and we're all going to spend too much money, because definitely the stock market crash could be happening in the wake of that, like it did in 1929. What else do I want to say? I'm looking at my notes. Give me a sec. I have to peer into the handwritten notes that I made this morning so I can remind myself of what the heck I was going to say to you guys. Of course, I am missing one of my notes. Technically, let me pause where I find the Venus notes. I got it. June 11th, August 22nd, September 17th. 3 times Venus will pass into a square relationship from Leo to the planet Jupiter sitting in the sign of Taurus square, meaning 90 degrees away. So as this is occurring, the retrograde pass is August 22nd, because Venus begins to retrograde on the Feast of Mary Magdalene. Yes, on July 22nd, and goes direct around September 4th. So and this energy of the retrograde will just be one piece of a larger story about women squaring Jupiter. Venus is women. Yes, women. You know, women? Women. How do you define a woman? I don't know. They have babies in their bodies, maybe? And so basically Venus is squaring Jupiter. That can be a woman opposing a leader. Now in the US chart, I don't know, it's Venus in the 9th house of the Sibley chart. So I don't know that it could be a foreign woman leader opposing something to do with the US health or workforce. But for the most part, anywhere in the world, you could have some kind of female pushing against some kind of leadership, or some kind of woman opposing a leader in order to maybe compete. Now, if it happened in the United States, which it could, then it could be somebody stepping up to go into competition as a female with Trump, Ron DeSantis, or on the other side, Biden, right? Isn't there a woman also in the running with Biden? I don't think she's doing really well in the polls, but she could suddenly surprise us all and rise up ahead over the next year, this May to next May, because it can look like a woman opposing or squaring, like competing with. A square is the nature of Mars, it's competition. So some competition for kingship, involving women competing for places of power. That's kind of how I'm going to vibe into that. Women wanting justice, especially in the United States, maybe Roe versus Wade, Venus for 4 months in the 9th house, maybe some kind of legal action taken to try to correct the Roe versus Wade overturn. Maybe legislation, for example. I just don't know. But things like that could also play out. There's no doubt about it. Now, okay, one of the other things I want to say before we do the all signs, and this is not going to be as long as maybe the video I did, which is I think 2 hours in December. The Uranus piece is important, because even though Uranus has been here with Jupiter before, and again, I bring your attention back to the last time this happened, which was, I did say it already, 1941. It's so long ago, but we did have new technology. The first computer was actually created. The first jet plane was in that window of time, first working computer, right? Like you could use the thing, it worked. So we're going to look for some serious technological expansion, like really fast, really big deals, like jet planes, you know, going places quickly, not like a little biplane or something. And certainly when you talk about the beginning of the computer era, what's next? Well, everyone's going to say AI, of course, because Pluto is tiptoeing into Aquarius through to June 11th, and he's back all of next year, January through to September, with a hiatus for a couple months. So on and off a bit, but fully immersed by 25 into the whole 25 to 2044 Pluto and Aquarius story. So certainly massive advances in artificial intelligence are on the horizon, and we're going to see that in an explosive new technological energy. We're going to be exploding with it. Some people are saying universal basic income with Pluto and Aquarius, Jupiter, especially in the United States, in the house of the working class everyday guy, the workforce, the economy, sometimes the sixth house. We could see some kind of economic, what's the word I want? Expansion, something like that. Peace treaties is Venus, and she's squaring Jupiter, and that's kings and queens and people in power. You could see some tension around trying to forge peace treaties as well during that Venus transit in the summertime, when she connects in that window I told you about, June 11th, August 22nd, September 17th. Maybe finally there's a peace treaty with Ukraine and Russia, hopefully sooner, because, God forbid you said it was a proxy war like I did on my channel a year and a bit ago. Now everyone knows it's the United States is fighting Russia through Ukraine. Duh. All right, let's get going and talk about each of you, all signs. Number one, and by far, Aries rising, Scorpio rising are going to be prospering from this transit and receiving money and earnings and chunks of money and good money stories. So if you're an Aries rising, Scorpio rising, get ready, get set. You can also argue maybe that your Aries sun and Scorpio sun may also benefit pretty significantly. And secondly, maybe thirdly, your moon sign. So the Aries sun, moon, and risings, the Scorpio sun, moon, and risings will experience the Jupiter transit in money houses, very specific money houses, and they're going to have an amazing time. So it's a front load on that. And I would say that for you guys, this is going to be your once every 12-year bonanza, but you have Uranus there. So unless you were alive in the 1940-41 period, you ain't seen nothing yet. Gonna hit you in a way that's freaking brand new. And then the Leo risings and the Aquarius risings are also experiencing a kind of intensity that, unless you were around in 1940, and 1941 to have a Uranus transit with Jupiter in Taurus, then this is something you've never seen before in your life. It's a magnitude and an order of something more powerful, more significant, to do with property, home, land, and real estate for you Aquarians, and to do with things to do with potentially some busting out energy of some kind of like big breakthrough energies for the Leo people, especially with Venus for you guys. Oh my goodness, when Venus goes through the house of you, are you unstoppable? Like, seriously? Let me think about that for a minute. Let me just ponder Leos for a sec. I'm really getting a vibe here, because you're going to have Venus going through the house of you, which is insanely positive for 4 frigging months this summer. That's its own story. That's its own reality, own universe. Well, at the same time as a Leo rising, your 10th house of visible reputation and career is all Jupiter, Uranus fired up. Wow. So just remember, you guys are getting the most juice out of this. And, it's a whole year of Jupiter transiting through the sign of Taurus. He's not going to be just delivering it in the beginning, but it depends on the degree of your rising sign. So let's also say if your rising sign for 2023 is approximately, or sun, moon, okay, I'm going to give you a range. So if your sun, moon, and rising sign is in the first 18 degrees of the fixed signs of Leo and Aquarius and Scorpio and Taurus, you get the most juice from this transit before January of 2024. And then the second half of the signs, let's even go like, the 15th degree to the 29th degree, get the most momentum in the second pass of this, the first 5 months and 3 weeks of next year. So keep that in mind when you go, nothing happened. Well, individualize it to your sun, moon, and rising degree, not just your sign. That might be helpful. Because, Jupiter retrogrades every year. This time in September, and he's retrograding around the halfway mark, 15 degrees of the sign of Taurus. Okay. Sorry, I have to get this chair pulled up. I've got my new ergonomics here. I know I move. I can't believe it, but I'm going to complain. Some person on one of my videos went on and on about the fact that I was squiggling in my chair, moving my body, touching my hair. I'm like, can you just back off? All right, thank you. She's gone now. She unsubscribed and took her comment away. She actually she wanted to vote and see if other people agreed with her, and people weren't, so she left. Yay, gone, you're gone. Goodbye. Let's go back to me. Yes, I have my moon in Aries. I have my sun in Aries. I have my Athena in Aries. I have my Mercury in Aries. I don't take gnarly shit lightly. I get back and I want to combat the trolls, right? Sorry, I'm probably never going to change that way. All right, so let's get going. and talk about your sign. We're going to start with Aries. I want to remind you that if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, please think about it. And because why? Because then when I put new content out, especially all the things I'm about to talk about, will be in depth for you, using the asteroids and the stars and all the coolio details that are in the sky individually and collectively. And so you get a lot more depth when I'm not doing a giant overview of Jupiter moving through the sign of Taurus. Okay. Just so you know. So let's start off with the Aries people. I am one of you. I am Aries sun, moon, and rising, sun, moon, and other stuff, Mercury. Don't forget, your rising sun is probably going to feel the most accurate. There are exceptions to the rule. If you ever want to learn, study with me, I'll teach you how and why. Check my description box below for my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, especially my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter. You'll get all kinds of special discounts, codes. It's every day, every week forecasts in your inbox by me, but you get codes and treats and surprises and perks that nobody else gets. And my Patreon community similarly has those kinds of treats and perks and discount codes, as well as all ad-free content by me for only $5 a month, early access before the public gets it. And that may be just enough for you to want to switch over to my Patreon community. All right, let's get going. Aries sun, Aries moon, Aries rising sign. Oh, I will change the backdrop to make it a little simpler for you guys by giving you a picture of the sky that shows the backdrop of each sign. You must bear with me while I swap us out to each sign in the background. And that makes it easy when you're watching to find out what the heck I am talking about, right? Okay, sorry, I'm having tech issues, of course. I don't like, I think I'm going to quit Apple. Okay, I'm going to get my new AI computer. Aries, sun, moon, rising sign. Well, here's the gist of it. You know, it is your second house. I mentioned earlier in the teaser, this is going to be one of the most auspicious transits for you. Go back to June 4th of 2011 to June 11th of 2012. Aries folk, what were you up to? Because it's back. What were you doing? How were you living long and prospering? Where were you abundant financially? What was the narrative? Where was some sudden changes in your abundance because of the Uranus piece, these whistly, yay moments? Don't forget, next April, big blowout here. Yeah, with Uranus and Jupiter connecting directly next April. So, overarching theme is prosperity. More money, more earnings, more. Now, you have to watch out for indulgence because things you eat and put in your mouth belong to the second house, whether it's an addictive substance or just food. So you may be over the top in terms of food and how much you are ingesting at the time. You may also be a little bit overly generous with your money and give money away. I gave money to a girlfriend or a friend of mine who asked for it, and I never got it back. I thought it was a loan. So I was very generous financially with others at that time. This is definitely something to consider because, I mean, Jupiter is like philanthropic, magnanimous, and generous in the money house. Quite often it involves spending. But you can become philanthropic, and that's a whole other vibe, right? Than just spending money or giving money away. 10 is that Jupiter has wisdom here and also brings you lucky money breaks, especially last minute saves and Hail Mary passes in your finances where you think things are going to hell in a handbasket, and along comes fairy godfather Jupiter in your second house and brings you some lucky money stories. Now, I'm an Aries sun and moon, not a rising, but if I go back to June of 11 to June of 2012, and I try to remember what happened, I sold a property. So I made some money in real estate, and I took some cash off the table from that property and had a profit. I had some really crazy stock investments surprise me and do really well at the time. I had moved in with my partner then, just before that happened, and we were co-thriving, I suppose. My husband, he would become my second husband. And I'm trying to also think about how I was thriving in that window of time. I think I sold another property then as well, and a recreational property I owned. I did. I'm pretty sure I did. All said and done. No, I didn't. Then it was another thing. Okay, so I had opportunities financially emerge in my life, and I also started to earn money. Second house is earned income by working in the magazine industry at Elephant Journal magazine, a Good Men Project magazine, as an editor and a writer. And so it was the beginning of earning income in a new way. And so that was also fun and exciting for me. And Uranus rules the internet and was my first time making money on the internet. Oh, but Uranus wasn't there, so I forget that I said that. So I'm just trying to compare notes from then to there. Things are different for all Aries this time around. Why are they different? Because you didn't have Saturn back then traveling through the 12th house. That is the house of your foreign shores and land revenue you generate from foreign shores and lands, like PayPal, Stripe accounts, because you have international clients such as I do. And this could be a really strong, like legacy wealth increase, kind of like steady, reliable forms and structures to increase your wealth from foreign lands and countries. Now, Saturn here can also help you stabilize anything to do with food or substances that you would rather go voluminous on and expand on, like too much wine, too much cigarettes. And Saturn is giving you the control. Remember, I talked about Saturn, Jupiter back in the day being when they smacked a label on the cigarettes and said, not good for your health. So you might go, Saturn goes, not good for your health. Like tone it down. Like you can not eat Haagen-Dazs every day for breakfast. So something going on here for you guys for the next year, allowing you to moderate regarding food and things you ingest. Jupiter is good for your jaw, teeth, and face. You may, Saturn from the 12th, do I'm just going off to, a spa for 3 weeks, and you've gone in for some kind of plastic surgery, some kind of like veneer, some kind of facial remodeling. That's possible here. There should be a lucky time to do that. It should be a successful time to do that. And Jupiter here can also be kind of just simply saying you may up-level your values, you may up-level your self-worth and self-esteem. And with Saturn supporting from the 12th house, you also may get some assistance from people who are your allies, but kind of behind the scenes, like how can I help, you succeed, but they're quietly backstage. They're not in the front end of everything you're up to. So it's kind of like secret help, Saturn likes to be alone and helps you become more solid in being alone. For the 3 years he's in your 12th house. So he's asking you to be a little more solitudinous or have solitude as a way of life. But if you're a writer, creator, screenplay writer, creative storyteller, Saturn joining with Neptune in your 12th house can open a massive corridor of writing. Like you're in the writer's cave, the writer's studio. I am a writer, so I'm looking forward, I hope, to some of that happening for me. All right. Also, a note to file, of course, that Saturn is in Jupiter's house. So he's trying to help Jupiter make you make money from the 12th house place. So that's exciting as well. And, during that whole window of time this summer, Venus, early June through to early October will be in Leo. And for you, that's your house of creativity and the muse. There goes that writing, sexuality, romance, and children. And they're all benefiting from this Venus transit. But you will be leisure travel or pleasure seeking in ways that you normally aren't, like a little over the top, desirous of more pleasure, more fun, more romance, more leisure travel. But if you have a skill that's a natural talent that you have, Venus here helps amplify your talent. And it is an artistic and performance oriented house. As she goes through here during that long window of time that she's in your 5th house, don't forget that 3 times she will connect with with Jupiter. Those dates are June 11th, August 22nd, and September 17th are all points of something to do with themes of your 5th house, including your children and fertility and pregnancy. Are you an Aries wanting to get pregnant? Oh yeah, this is a very fertile time for you, June, July, August, September. And then therefore June 11th, August 22nd, September 17th can be touch points for fertility transits, especially not only because she's connecting to Sperminator Jupiter in your earnings house, but because she's trining your 1st house of your body. But Jupiter in the money house and Venus in your 5th house is money luck. You win money in the 5th house. Jupiter is the guy who brings you more money in the 2nd house. Some of you are going to have some money wins or money luck anywhere in that window. But the dates I'm reminding you of that are more precise, June 11th, August 22nd, and September 17th. Okay, this is not going to go as long as my December video. We're moving into the next sign, and then we're going to keep at a nice clip, I hope, so that I can go out with my soulmate James, who's with me now in Vancouver, Canada, and take a walk on the seawall and have a bite to eat at a restaurant called España on Denman, where he and I are co-writing a screenplay just for fun. I'm just changing the background. That's why I'm giving you babble. If you're in the live premiere, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And some of my followers who are my regulars, you know my story, right? Alone, single, celibate for like 7 or 8 years. So when I'm talking about finding a soulmate, I'm really picky. I got my guy. I could have been a girl though. I could go both ways. And we're moving on to Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. You'll notice, by the way, Taurus and everyone I'm about to talk to, that I am an open book. And that is part of who I've always been online. If you Google my name, Huffington Post, and all this stuff I've done and written, it's a shock of thought of how much stuff I've disclosed about myself. So this is just how I operate. All right, so moving on to the Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising sign. folk, this is a nice energy for you in a lot of ways. It's going to open up. Wait, my back-end software just stopped working. So give me a second while I ask it why the hell it's not working. Because I'm looking at the chart or to delineate for you with ease, and it just like, no, it's not. Oh, I see what happened. Let me fix it. Sorry about that. I'm not going to stop the recording. It should have been fine. It should be working. The reason it's not working makes no sense. Wow. That is and was really weird. So it is Mercury retrograde. I'm recording on April 30th, 2023, and my Patreon community gets this material before you guys, okay? Up to a week before, sometimes 4 days before. It depends on my schedule of how fast I'm putting up my content. All right, I'm just waiting to the software to upload again and go back into motion. There it is. It is for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising, that Jupiter in the house of your body is important. It can actually be a very good health transit, but it can also help you gain weight, especially girthy belly weight. And if you don't want to gain weight, be very cautious about your food. But however, the weight you gain during this Jupiter transit, which is May 16th of this year to May 25th next year, will fall off when Jupiter leaves. I can attest to that transit in my own life. However, if you want to get pregnant, it's often a fertility transit for many reasons, including your expanding belly if you're a woman. And it can also be about muscling up, but it's also good for health, being magnanimous, being seen as somebody who's larger than life, being seen as leaderful, being seen as a teacher or guru, dispeller of darkness. You are radiating Jupiter, and you're generous and seen as generous, and you feel generous. You feel like a Jupiter being, the queen or king energy of a mountain, right? In this regard, it's time for the big asks, the bold things. Your mantra should be go bold or go home. Go big or go home. Be a bold ass king of your mountaintop. Now, Jupiter here, right, crossing through your first house, will cross the ascendant-descendant axis. If you're in the first 15 degrees of the sign of Taurus as a Taurus rising, this can also be very much about your significant other marriage partner stories. Some of you could experience a bit of destabilization there, but if you're single, it could also be bringing in the new partner. So either way, Jupiter's god of blessed endings and brand new relationship beginnings. You're the one in charge. You are the Taurus person calling the shots. Now, Uranus is here, as I mentioned earlier, for the first time since 1940-41, and you are in a revolutionary mode for new freedom, expansion, and growth. You're busting outside the bounds of who you think you are, have been, and could be. There's a new revolutionary, freedom-loving invention of self. It's huge. If you were around in 1940-41 and you're listening to this, let me know how it worked for you, assuming you're older than like 7 years old, okay? Because you should have had some kind of self-defined revolution and change in sense of who you are, identity in the world, especially Taurus rising. Sun can be father figures in career, moon, mother figures, and home. Now, with Jupiter going through this part of your sky, we didn't have this one for a long time. There is this really lovely hookup with Saturn. I haven't seen it since 1964, and with Saturn and Pisces. So Saturn moving through the sign of Pisces is in the house of good spirit, where friends and allies and benefactors arise, as well as greater career gains. If someone wants to be your friend or ally and help you out with something, or an elder sibling as well, then this is going to work in your behalf in a lovely way this year and into next year. But it's very precise around June the 19th. And this can be somebody who is an elder in your friendship circles, or as I said, sibling, or someone in authority or some kind of expert authority energy. Well, this person just blesses you in terms of you being a better version of yourself. It can also be some blessings and greater career gains that Saturn was said to bring on for you. The 11th house is your great gains from your 10th house career path. This is especially true for Taurus risings with the midheaven in the sign of Aquarius in the 10th house in whole sign house system, astrology. Now, for you guys, one way or the other, Saturn here is going to help you winnow down your friendship circles over the next 3 years, only to keep the ones that are gold for you, the ones that really are going to help you go the distance. And he's also helping you define your next vision for your life, your deepest, more realistic dreams and goals for what you want. So expect it to be a time where you see the beginning of some of what you deeply desire and wish to have in your life beginning to materialize in your story. And you are the agent of the materialization. Jupiter makes you damn well purely lucky. You are the Midas touch, horseshoes up your bum kind of vibe during this year-long transit. Because Venus will be squaring for months in a whole sign way, and that's going to be June, July, August, September into early October from Leo, there is some tension from her in regards to fourth house, first house items. I mean, you may be overindulging, having too much fun at home, or having a female visit you in the home. And there's a little bit of a sort of a competitive pushback between you and that female, or you regarding private home life matters. You may not even want to spend time at home. You may be trying to be big, bold you, expanding in your social network, Saturn in the 11th, and some things in the home are calling you. You could have some overindulgence, Jupiter square Saturn is like, instead of 1 ice cream scoop, you have 6, but it's not about what you eat necessarily. You may overindulge in terms of things that have to do with things you do in the home, or things to do with property, homeland, and real estate. Like, don't get a jumbo mortgage if you can't afford it. That's an example. You're so optimistic, full of hope and faith. You're so Jupiter right now that everything feels like a golden, rosy glow during this transit. Get your eyeballs on the clarity you need, not to overdo it in property, land, home, real estate, and those sorts of narratives. Know that, as I said earlier, June 11th, August 22nd, September 17th, there's going to be that 3-pass energy of Venus squaring Jupiter. Most active, I think, for the people who are in the first 15 degrees of Taurus, because, for example, August the 22nd and September 17th, this is happening at 15 Taurus to 15 Leo. So if your rising sign is there at near 15 Taurus, this is a huge energy around something Venusian and Jupiterian. It can be very lucky, but gritty at the same time. Again, watch for over-enthusiastic approaches to property and real estate and land, or pleasures that you wish to experience in your home. Venus in the 4th house. All right, and that's about all for you Tauruses. It's going to be a transit in which you are the one benefiting directly and experiencing a huge amount of fortune and luck personally in your story. Let's get going and talk about Gemini, and we're going to do you guys next, but I have to pull up that second chart for you, and I am hoping, there we go, to get this deep code astrology idea off the ground, and my 3 books, The Way of Miracles, Coming Age of Miracles, and the Children of Light and Adam done, so that I can move into something more, less weather girl of the astrology. I know you guys love the all signs, but I think that, sometimes I'm like, I'm just telling you the weather is transient. It's like when I was a journalist and then the information's gone, like we report on the latest news story and then it's gone to the mists of time. And it doesn't really feel at the age of 61 that it has the legs that I like, legacy legs that I'd like in my life. Just confessing to the Geminis. Don't know why. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. In your sky, you've got this amazing energy of Jupiter, jolly giant, Santa Claus, fairy godfather, yay him, moving in your 12th house. This is so good for you to get rid of addictions and self-undoing. And, any kind of soul work can be valuable, and you might meet a spiritual teacher. This is May 16th this year to 25th of May next year, and it happens every 12 years. I said to every sign in the beginning, but I'll remind you, you can go back in time to June of 2011 to June of 2012 and remind yourself, what were you doing then? This is repeating the then-ness of that time frame for you. You could find yourself definitely doing more foreign shore and foreign lands and foreign shore travel as a result of this transit. But if you're into spiritual stuff and you want a guru, this is very, find your guru, find your sat guru, find your teacher, find him suddenly and with great excitement, because why? Uranus is there, especially next spring and April. You haven't had a Uranus with Jupiter in 12th house unless you've lived to be around in 1940-41. So this is something fresh and new. You're going to blast out of any kind of addictive substance habit pattern or whatever. It'll be really radical downloads, sudden turnarounds, really big energies here. Well, you can learn when Jupiter's here, especially if you're learning because your teacher's in a foreign land, but he invites in learning from the 9th and 3rd house, as well as travel. So a lot of Geminis will be doing travel to foreign lands and shores, lots of learning. And if you're a teacher, then maybe lots of teaching as well, but maybe also teaching on the internet with Uranus there. So a lot more teaching for you as a Gemini person. My son's progressed to Gemini. I might move my career to more teaching and less client work. Well, I know I will, because I've been seeing too many clients for 5 years. So yeah, that's an example for my progressed son in Gemini. I feel like this Jupiter transit, because of the hookup with Saturn, right? Saturn will on June the 19th come into a perfect sextile with with Jupiter, that there's something new here that you haven't seen in your life. It's brand new since 1964. If you're alive in April of 64, you saw this. I was here, but I was, 2 years old. But Saturn in the 10th house of reputation and career will sextile Jupiter in your 12th. Well, there could be a change regarding people in your workplace, a boss, but in positive ways, or authority figure in the workplace, favoring you with backroom deals and negotiations in your career path. There also could be some sense of moving to a new level of mastery and authority in anything to do with Neptunian matters, storytelling, visually, photography, animation, graphics that are visually captivating, filmmaking, storytelling, screenplay writing. Some of you may be getting some yay juice here because Jupiter in the 12th house is also, you might be learning how to write this stuff or how to create this stuff, or you may be teaching it. Saturn in the 10th house can often look like a time in which you've already reached a mountaintop in some career path as a Gemini and you're getting ready to bail, but it's going to be until February of 26, where the question is, do I up level to another area or do I bail? Because there's something called the doom loop where you go through levels of a career path. And when you achieve mastery, if you're at the noon position or the high noon, or you're on the top of the mountain, the next phase is always a downhill slide where you become lazy with your work and you're less precise and you become to be sloppy. No one wants a brain surgeon in that phase of their career. Oh my God. So you could be feeling a lot of this year of Jupiter moving through your 12th house, that you're doing some soul pondering about what you want to do next. Some of you Geminis rising especially will be in that kind of modality. It can even look like retirement. Saturn rules retirement money. Some of you may be thinking of pulling completely away from the career path you've been on. And Jupiter is helping you get all your ducks in a row financially, for example, and through your clarity to move in that direction in the next year. Because Venus is going to be in a place for 4 months, June through to October, which is your third house. This could be really a lot of travel or a really renewed relationship with a sibling with a lot of joy and love. It can be aunt, uncle, cousins, and friendships and fun and joy, or a great enjoyment of where you're living, like the local neighborhood area. If you have an online business or work online, the online platforms, websites, and communication places, blogs, that's all third house stuff. Venus is going to give you celebrity, a glow up, some power up here. You may find yourself getting micro celebrityed out or just having a lot of fun and a lot of luck in that area during those 4 months. But because she's also squaring Jupiter, there's push and pull between what you might want to do, which is go to an ashram and study with a guru, like just making something up, versus be like all over the online world doing your TikTok stories, things like that. Venus here can also be tension with a female sibling or a sibling, but usually female and often younger, that is also kind of squaring away with your opportunity. And it's a simple example. You can move to a foreign country and move away from your sibling. With the Jupiter in the 12th house. And anything else? That transit with Venus and Jupiter has 3 parts, June 11th, August 22nd, and September 17th. Circle your calendar. I'll be doing a lot more detail on that in a later video, so don't forget to like and subscribe. So as we get towards those times, in June, in fact, I will come up with a really good video about the asteroids involved in that transit. And if you haven't hit the like button and you're in the live premiere, you know the drill, guys. Don't forget, it does help my channel tremendously grow. Let's hit the next sign. The next sign. I'm on the back end of my software trying to do it. I was up, I think, earlier than I wanted to be because I'm not feeling full of zest right now. My girlfriend has COVID. I heard that they named it Arcturus. I did hug her when she first got here 3 days ago, so I'm crossing my fingers that wasn't the hug that it shouldn't have been. Zoom back end. Here we go. Here's the next sign coming up, and we're going to Geminis. I hope so anyway. I think that's where I left off. No, Cancer. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. Now, Cancer people, this is a movement. Don't forget the dates, May 16th of this year to May 24th of next year, that you've had already on June of 2011 to June of 2012. So remember, go back and compare. It's a little bit different every time, of course, but the gist is there. And that's Jupiter moving through the sign of Taurus. Now, in your sky, the sign of Taurus is a particular piece of real estate that's extremely positive. And it's a house where Jupiter has his joy, and that's your 11th house. So if you're going to have any luck, of all signs, you're one of the ones that gets the most luck. Jupiter in his joy in your 11th house is lucky. And it could bring you some windfalls. Yes, it can. Some great financial gain from your career as well. It can enhance your reputation, your ability to influence groups of people, to be having some success if your work involves groups of people in any manner. And sometimes it just simply means that people who are powerful and authoritative, Jupiter, in your 11th house of allies will benefit you. As eldest sibling is the 11th house, an elder or eldest sibling could be of great support and benefit to you as this transit occurs. Jupiter will be here again for a whole year. And when Jupiter is up here, the kind of luck you have is karmic, is cosmic rewarding. It's like, it's not you did your good thing yesterday and the good deed came home to roost. There's a longer arc of karmic rewarding events and things that transpire. This is also accompanied by a transit that you haven't had since 1940-41. So likely most of you listeners haven't experienced Saturn in a Pisces in a sextile to Jupiter in Taurus. That's precise around the 19th of June, but it's a vibe that covers the whole year. And in this regard, you could have some really good positive events to do with money luck, because Jupiter is lucky in the 11th, can bring windfalls, and Saturn in the 9th can bring Lakshmi luck as well, and prosperity and wealth through father figures, court and legal matters, book publishing. If you're a Cancer rising, I have two people, a client and a friend who are Cancer rising, and they're going to shop a book. This is your window of success. You can do an agent, you can find a publisher. You don't have to rely on your own self-publishing if you don't want to. That's my opinion anyway. Saturn can look like a traditional publishing house. Saturn here can look like a judge who looks upon your legal matters with great favor, and things work out for you that way and bring you some prosperity and luck. And if you want to move to a foreign land or travel, Saturn is on your side to get the paperwork and visas in place, and Jupiter brings the luck and opportunity to get those things underway from your sky. Third marriages belong to the 9th house. If you're in a third marriage, and some of you may be, then this is going to be very beneficial to your third marriage. And so that's another positive story. Then we have Venus moving into Leo for a long time, June 5th to October the 9th. Wow, it's a very rare length of transit. And as she does that, she's blowing up your income. Money is flowing to you. Your speech is considered beautiful and lovely to hear. You're feeling better about your face and how you look, and you may get cosmetic surgeries or, enhance your teeth or something. Excuse me. I need more water, so I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so back where I was speaking to you, I just got my water and I think I'm back in the game. So yes, money. Venus will make you very, very prosperous. Yes, she will. And lovely and beautiful on the face area, and good for your teeth as well when she's there June, July, August, September. On the same time she's going through their Cancer rising, she squares Jupiter. So it could be a tension with an older sibling, tension regarding earnings, and somebody in a position of power in your friendship groups or circles. But honestly, for the most part, even with a square between Jupiter and Venus, it's positive because they're both benefics. And so there may be an overindulgence in food or an overindulgence in your social life. Both of Jupiter and Venus can bring that on during this time. Don't forget, it's kind of June 11th, August 22nd, September 17th, that you feel this tension point between money and earnings and pleasures and possessions, and maybe an eldest sibling, maybe a friend, maybe something to do with the way the gains from your career are showing up. But it's still not the most gnarly thing I've ever seen. And plus, you're going to have Jupiter hit that Uranus in April 2024. And that's amazing luck. Holy stroke and bolt of amazing luck. Get ready for that. It should be pretty darn incredible for you. And it could be very much about celebrity windfall and breakthroughs in your career gains next April. Now we're moving to the Leo people, and we're going to get to that narrative. And Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. If that's you, this is what's in store as this transit opens up a year, May of this year, 16th and May 25th next year, of career success. You are on fire. Go back to June of 2011 to June of 2012. What were you doing in your career and visible reputation back then? Yes, if you're a homemaker, that's your reputation. If you're a student, that's what people see you doing. How was it playing out in positive and fortunate ways? Okay, so that was back then. How is it feeling now? This time it's different. It will be different because Uranus is here for the first time since 1941. And Uranus is going to hook up with Jupiter next April, giving you a really big bolt next April of 24 in career success. Get ready, set. It's going to be amazing. But as well as Jupiter comes through this part of your sky where your Uranus is, he's also talking to Saturn. Saturn in your eighth house of chunky money can look like a very good positive development financially to do with money, career, retirement, chunks of money, inheritance, supporting your career path in a lucky, positive way. Sometimes it can look like severance packages, buyouts, bonus sign-ons, whatever. It's just a good flow for a whole year between Jupiter and your Saturn story in the eighth house. No doubt about it, though, an elder may pass away. This may benefit you in your career in some way, which I can't define because I don't know what your career is, but maybe you get a lot of money and now you don't need to work so hard, or you have enough money to do something educationally for your career. Who knows? So at the same time that you're having this sort of like glow up in your career over the next year, and people in power may support you to succeed, right? Bosses look favorably upon you. You get a raise or promotion, a lucky new break, a lucky new job opportunity, all of this stuff over the next year. You're capitalizing on some luck in your career place. Well, at the same time, this luck is escalating for you. You do have some Venus stories going on as well throughout the summer. That's Venus in your Leo sky in the house of you. Popular, appealing, charismatic, pretty, beautiful, handsome, seductive, glowing you. You're more popular than you've known for a while, and you like yourself. That's Venus, June, July, August, September, into early October, going through the house of your identity and your body. Good for your health as well. Good for new wardrobes and hairdos and all of that. But then there's this tension with Jupiter. It can also just be overindulgence energies, maybe to do with things that you spend on yourself, or the way you're, I don't know, overly, gregariously, beautifully you. If you can do that, Leos, I don't know. But that square to Jupiter could just be some tension with some kind of authority figure. And there's some tension moments, but for the most part, it's both a self glow up and a 10th house glow up. And the energy is going to be playing out all through the dates of June 11th, August 22nd, September 15th. This applies very acutely to anyone with ascendant sun or moon, either near 5 degrees or 15 degrees of the sign of Leo, because you're going to get a lot of that intensity on those points of June 11th, August 22nd, and September 17th. Okay, so August 22nd, September 17th are direct, retrograde and direct for the 15 degrees of Leo, but June 5th is the 5 degrees of Leo. So these can be very personally lucky moments of time, and there could be some big luck and breakthroughs in your career as a result around those dates as well. Career breakthroughs for sure. And Jupiter in the 10th house, if you don't like your career, just like Saturn, he could end up changing it for you, especially if your midheaven is up there. But for the most part, he just wants to expand it and make it a little bit larger than life, career, reputation, all of that. So go for it. Let's see what happens. And we're moving on to the Virgos of the universe. I love Virgo people. I have a ton of them in my life. So we're going to go and talk about you as a Virgo sun, moon, but always accurate, more accurate, I think, rising sign. And I can explain why if you want to learn astrology with me. My course Sky Reader starts May the 5th. So if you're at all interested, check it out. So here we have a story for Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, where for the first time since June of 2011 to June of 2012, Jupiter's here in your ninth house of God, academia, foreign lands and travel, father figures. Now, my daughter, Virgo rising, is in university. She just got all straight A's in her last term. This portends a lot more success. So beginning on this May 16th to May 25th next year, all systems go for academic success for any Virgo rising. But if you want to travel to foreign countries or move to foreign countries, win at court cases, or get a book published, those are all things the universe says yes. And if you want to find a spiritual path, spiritual belief, or get a guru or find God, okay, get your perfect religion down. This is going to be a window for that to happen as well. What do you believe? What gives you faith and hope? How do you see the meaning of life? Can you align with that? If you want to teach because you are a professor, teacher, or a teaching, mentoring, guiding type, this is going to succeed in all of those areas of your professional endeavors. If you work in a field like where you're the hand of the king, the vice president, the power behind the power, Jupiter in this position, human resources, NGOs, humanitarian jobs as well will give you lots of luck in your job and career. Because Uranus is here for the first time since 1940-41, we're going to see something definitely different. Unless you're alive then to compare, you won't even know what it's about. But this is very exciting, especially next April, when there's going to be this sudden development of a very positive bit of luck. Now, father figures can be ninth house and third marriages, and very exciting developments up there as well, especially next April, but the theme is running through the entirety of the year that Jupiter's in the top of your sky. Some really exciting breaks up there. Saturn is sextiling for the first time in a long while, since June 19th of 1964. I'm sorry, since 1964. This time it's on June 19th that Saturn will be in a sextile to Jupiter. And if you were around in April of 1964, this happened then as well. So Saturn is in the 7th house of marriage. And if you are with somebody, this can look like an engagement, a wedding proposal, setting a wedding date, or something like that, because Saturn wants to stabilize your significant relationship. Jupiter is in a legal house, a courthouse, or foreign lands house. So either moving to a foreign land with the one you're with, stabilizing the relationship with more of a legal commitment in the relationship. If you have business partners, everything I just said applies to business partnerships, being stabilized. If there's a relationship that you don't need and shouldn't have, then Jupiter supports you to win in court as you separate out from a spouse and get your assets all squared away. And Saturn makes sure that everything works out in a very contained and steady way around those matters. But, for the most part, it's more positive. It's a sextile than it would be any kind of gnarly problem. And Saturn here will test your relationship. If you're a Virgo rising and you're in a relationship, Saturn's testing it for the next 3 years. So you're going to see what I mean. It's asking to stabilize roots, make it more solid, make it more lasting, make it more real. And that will be true for the next 3 years as Saturn moves through the 7th. And this little lucky break of Jupiter, well, on the 19th could be a very big turning point, but just Jupiter up in the top of the sky, 9th house, until next May, repeatedly talking to Saturn. Okay, really touching down with Saturn as Saturn transits through there. There's a lot of touch points to stabilize and to honor the stability of an existing relationship. And if you're single, I guess it could bring in a new relationship, but likely from foreign travels, foreign lands, and foreign shores or academic environments. Also, this is a time in which Venus will be going June through to October through your 12th house of foreign lands, foreign shores, and travel, but also connected to study, learning, as well as things to do with addictions and self-defeating habits and bed pleasures. Now, it's a lot to take in there, but let's say that Jupiter squaring Venus in bed pleasures, squaring the 9th house, might be some coming to terms with some tension between how much time you want to spend in bed with the one you love and how much time you need to be studying, how much time you want to be in bed with the one you love, but how much traveling you have to do, making stories up, just tension between 12 and 9, but both are benefics. Women behind the scenes may endeavor to support you in positive ways regarding book publishing and academic environment, for sure. And lastly, some of you may be engendering some financial gain from foreign shores and lands, June, July, August, September, or from a father figure. And that could include some gifts or inheritances from father figures in your life during this transit of Jupiter through your 9th house. Anything else? Nope. And I'm moving into the next sign. So I don't know if I told you guys before, I had to pause my recording. My girlfriend has COVID. Hope it's not the Taurus. And I gave her a hug 3 days ago. And I'm like, am I coming down with it? Before I knew she was sick. Okay. I'm just changing the backdrop for the next sign, Libra. And then we're going to keep going. And on we go. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, in your sky, there is the energy here, you, of this transit you haven't seen since June of 11 to June of 2012, Jupiter and Taurus. This one is very special, of course, because of so many different factors. But this is going to be a transit through a very opportune place, as I introduced in the beginning, for financial gain. Your 8th house is on fire with potential prosperity for the entirety of May 16th this year to May 25th next year. And you may have some sudden big pops in your finances next April of 24. That's when Jupiter hits Uranus conjunction in April, mid-April next year. So a lot of you are going to see some emboldened building of financial resources. It can come through tax rebates, insurance payoffs. You can get great mortgage deals with this. You can manage to land some kind of tax relief or something. You might get a grant or a stipend here. You could even have royalty income pour in. You may even find that you are able to get money from business partnerships. Your spousal shared resources increase dramatically, not only just your money, and maybe you too receive inheritances or legacy wealth from a family of origin person. Now, all that said, especially with Pluto moving back into your house of the family of origin, fourth house, very well could suggest at any time between like June 11th and the end of this year, you could be coming into some inheritance money as a Libra rising sun or moon. But it's just as well, you can also buy or sell property and do very, very well. This is a lucky time for your finances in all of the chunky money ways. Now, Saturn is here, and you haven't had Uranus here since 1940-41, and you haven't had Saturn here since 1964. So on April of 64, there's going to be there was a sextile, but now in June 19th of this year, 2023, there's a sextile between Saturn and Pisces and Jupiter in your chunky money house. You could pay off a debt, rent an amazing property, get a cat or dog, release yourself from a karmic debt. You could open up a corridor of positivity around dating, if you want to date somebody, but keep it really secret. Whatever it is, though, it's very good for financial debt relief. And that looks like you could pay off a mortgage or sell a property that allows you to pay down something or get some legacy wealth, because indebtedness is the sixth house, both karmic and real. And Saturn's helping you stabilize debts while Jupiter's giving you the money to pay off debts, for example. And Saturn wants to get you down with better health. Jupiter gives you very spiritual, metaphysical ways to improve your health. And you might see some of that being more true in June, especially the 19th of June of 2023. Then you may also receive some kind of benefit to do with animals or pets. But Saturn here can also, over the next 3 years, take an elderly pet and cause that pet to get ill or to pass away. That's a side story, though. You're going to work hard over the next 3 years, but you're also going to have some money luck as you work hard. Then we also have the Venus story. Venus, June through to October in your 11th house of good spirit, rare long transit. It's definitely going to give you some windfalls, some pennies from heaven, can activate some of that inheritance stuff I spoke of. Allies and friends who are women and elder siblings or female siblings being of great support and benefit to you. And that's going to be ongoing for June through to October. However, there's a bit of tension with Jupiter. I'm not sure why Jupiter is squaring Venus for you, but there's tension here. Yet, on the other hand, there's also indulgence, and they're both benefic. You could have a crazy ass social life, June, July, August, September into October, and almost lose yourself to the fun, the joy, the friendship circles, the enjoyment of the social groups that you're part of, both real and virtual. And all of a sudden you realize, oh no, Jupiter wants me to conserve some of my inheritance and not spend it on every day going out and drinking champagne with my friends and treating them to stuff. Who knows? Venus definitely wants to bring you more money and your career gains as well. And you might get raises and promotions this summer. And Jupiter's also saying, well, and we got some chunky money as well. Sometimes it's something as simple as getting a lot more money from your work and having to look at the tax liabilities. And that could be what a Jupiter tension is from the 8th to the 11th. Okay. It could also indicate an inheritance from a female friend, like, or somebody like that, or an elder sibling. Unless your elder sibling's much older than you, it's probably not so likely, but just all possibilities as well. And we're going to move past Libra, and we're moving into the next sign, which I will do as I move the background around on the back end. If you're in the premiere and you haven't hit the like button, please consider doing so. Thank you. All right, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign in your sky. This is the movement of Jupiter you go back to June 4th of 2011 to 2012 June. That happened then. This is back May 16th to May 24th or 5th this year, next year, May to May. All right, an opening, expansion, growth, possibility, and goodness and luck. All of those words will be true as Jupiter the god of all of those things I just mentioned is navigating, moving his little bum through his big bum, his big fat ass. It's Jupiter, right? Big fat ass. He's making his big bum. He's moving his big bum all the way through your Taurus 7th house. Now, if you're not married yet and you're dating someone, this is classic. Get married, get engaged, up level, get the wedding date set, do the wedding even. If you're going to meet somebody during this transit, this person will be very good for you and will likely form a lasting relationship from romance to commitment in short order. For single Scorpio rising sun and moon people, this transit begins in May of this year and ends next year. It's really good for business partnerships and great success through selling, marketing, and sharing things with a client, audience, or marketplace. Yay, you! It also bonifies your children and gives them a lot of good luck as well. Do want to bring your attention to the fact that Uranus is here. This has not happened since 1940-41. This brings you unexpected, exciting developments, and even for your partner in love or business, they get the residual yay of some unexpected, exciting developments in their life as well. And you could have a huge amount of success in a relationship if you allow each other a huge amount of freedom. Jupiter, Uranus energy. You have a sextile from Saturn. Haven't seen that baby since 1964. It's back again in June of this year, June 19th to be precise. Saturn is sextiling Jupiter. Saturn is in your Piscean house, which is your romance and children house. And this looks like fertility for some of you. Saturn says work hard to have children, or I don't want to have children. I'm not going to have fun. I'm working hard, or stuff like that. But if you've been trying to have kids, okay, or your partner and you have been trying to have kids, I don't know, Saturn sextiling Jupiter could be the good news suddenly being delivered to your doorstep that you and your partner are having a child. That could be one example of how it plays out. Or you could birth a creative project that reaches a larger audience and it's a legacy project and it may have serialization or a lot of legs to stand on and will last a long time or bring enduring, lasting happiness and results to your creativity, things like that. Saturn with Scorpio risings with Saturn and Neptune together until 2026 in your 5th house means that your creativity becomes form, that your visions and creative projects take new form in a way you've never been able to experience in your life before. And then Jupiter brings you great luck with the audience and marketplace. And luck is here until next May. And then Jupiter squares off with Venus in your 10th house of career and reputation. This can be a very micro celebrity, big celebrity moment, or women in power supporting you, especially around contracts and legal agreements this summer. I won't go into all the details why, but Juno eventually gets up there with her. And then because Jupiter is in a legal contracts house, there may be some negotiations needed, but you are benefiting from professional advancement, celebrity, more fame, and potentially favors from women in high places, and allowing yourself to make new alliances in business or contracts this summer. Jupiter is also saying with Venus that you may experience tension between you and a client or you and a teacher and what you're up to in your very visible career space as well, especially, looking at this as a longer story that's just unfolding through the sky. Did I give you the date of that? June 11th, August 22nd, and September 17th. Okay, moving on to the next sign. Hit the like button. Don't forget to, do all that stuff. And if this sounds to you like maybe something that, what was I going to say? Oh, I've got the longer video that I did in December. Check that out. I'll put the link in the description box. I am going quickly. That's what I meant to say. I'm going quickly for a reason, because I feel like it. Because I'm feeling so well or something. All right. Let's hit the next sign. I feel like I could take a nap. Scorpio. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. All right. So if you're a Sagittarius, Jupiter is the lord of your sky, as it is for Pisces. This is also to be noted because wherever Jupiter goes, you should pay attention. Jupiter is your ally, and Jupiter as a Sag rising will enter into, it hasn't done this since June of 2011 to June of 2012. He will enter into the corridor of sky, the high slice of your houses that is known as your 6th house. And this is where you have pets. It's where you have debts. It's where you rent properties or rent out properties. It's where you maybe date someone. It's where you procure better health, and you work as well, your workspace, co-worker space. So if you're working still as a Sag rising or working at all, this can be raises, promotions, and powerful people supporting you, or you rising to new levels of power, Jupiter in work, or your health solutions arise because your health challenges are Jupiter protecting you from sickness or giving you the way to improve your health. Suddenly, exactly, yes, next April, some giant changes in work, exciting developments in health as well, especially if you're using unusual health things like Reiki and all that, because that's Uranian energy as well. Like, for example, my Sag sun husband back in the day, 2011-12, got a pet. Why? Because we got a pet during that window. It was the dog that I used to call Mrs. Blank, his last name, because they were so bonded. So you could bring a very beautiful pet into your life as Sag rising during that transit. You could start dating somebody and it's going to feel really expansive and good, especially because Venus will eventually support that. And that could be dating someone from a foreign land or foreign shore, or because you're traveling and travel leads to dating. That's something that could come up during this Jupiter transit this year. Also, the vibe here of Jupiter in your sixth house, well, we haven't seen since 1964, a sextile to Saturn and Pisces, and this is April of 64, and now it's back again. Now, Pisces is your fourth house of property, home, and real estate. If you were alive in 1964, then go back and ask yourself, what was changing here to do with home, property, land, and real estate? I think my Sag husband's family moved from Australia to Canada then, for example. But you may find that things like this, Saturn is about property, land, real estate, home life, legacy wealth, including inheritances. Jupiter sixth house, allowing you to pay off debts from an inheritance, allowing you to secure a very lovely rental property or rent out a property, or even, yes, potentially buy a property. Jupiter exalts your house of mortgages, and he is in Taurus. Now, Venus will be moving through the sky in a way she hasn't done either for a very while. Well, in this lifetime, not at all, for 4 months, June, July, August, September, October, there for a dog's age with a retrograde. So June 11th, August 22nd, and September 17th, June 11th, August 22nd, September 17th. Visas, foreign land, travel, court and legal matters, third marriages, book publishing are all highlighted, contracts thereof as well. And this Venus is squaring Jupiter in your sixth house. Now, it could be positive because it could be like dating somebody from a foreign land and the tensions you can never get over to see them because you're separated by geographical distance. But it can also be some kind of tension in trying to resolve a legal matter or book publishing matter. And Jupiter's trying to help out, and Venus will try to help out. They're both benefic planets. You may overindulge in things to do with foreign land. You may be seeking lots of pleasure in a higher education, another meaning of the ninth house. But are you able to afford it? Are you within your realm of debt, or you have too much work and you're a part-time student? Jupiter gives you more work when you're working, and Venus is trying to find her joy and pleasure in the ninth house of academia. So there's tension between houses 9 and houses 6. That's all I'll say. For the most part, I'm not worried so much about the tension. I'm just sort of suggesting that those points could be actively more difficult during that transit of Jupiter vis-a-vis Venus in your ninth house. And I'm keeping on, changing the background once again. And now we're in the next sign of, well, we are in the next sign of Capricorn. Are you a Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising? And you're going to experience a Jupiter transit. This is going to be lovely for you. Jupiter is moving through, yes, the Taurus part of your sky. By the way, the last time this happened, June of 2011 to June of 2012. And it's back again, but it's very different. We have some strange things happening with this one. So Jupiter is moving through a very good place because it's earth trining you in a house of money luck. Yes, winning the lottery or winning the casino or something like that. And don't forget, it starts May the 16th and lasts till May the 25th next year. This is also connected to children, and they will benefit and have a lot of luck. And if you want to have a child, this can bring in fertility for you or the one you're with. If you have your own business, this means your business will prosper and you will do really well with your entrepreneurial, independent, self-starting energy. Also, Capricorns, this can bring a lot more fun, play, joy, and pleasure, sexually especially, and romantically. If you're alone, this could bring in a very powerful new romance. Jupiter exalts the marriage house, and any existing romances could lead to marriage during this transit as he sextiles that exaltation of the marriage house over the months that follow. Jupiter also here is going to deliver a surprise. And if you're not wanting to get pregnant or your partner isn't, be careful next April as Jupiter Uranus, very unexpected pregnancy energy for some of you Capricorns. If you're a creative artist, this is exciting. You could get some breakthrough in your creativity, your art, and your creations, especially next April. With Saturn, for the very first time since since April of 1960. Don't forget, Uranus hasn't been here since 1940. Most of you haven't lived through that. Now, we have to go back to April of 64. Were you alive? Because that was when Saturn in Pisces was sextiling Jupiter in Cancer. What this looks like most probably is something to do with siblings, foreign travel, travel trips, siblings, education, and local neighborhood, or maybe your online world. Saturn in that part of your sky, your third house, will flow to Jupiter in your fifth house. You may have financial benefits from a sibling. You may have some enjoyment of a sibling. You may write something or be involved in some writing project that has really great luck and success. You'll know more about that June 19th. If you're floating IC, midheaven IC represents the root of your sky is in the fifth house or the third house. This could be bringing you a powerful opportunity for a new home. Okay, so look at your chart and find out where the floating MCIC axis is for Capricorns, okay, rising, sun, and moon. Now, the excitement about this too could be that the Saturn in the third house can bring you some seriously powerful opportunities to create some long-term legacy project that involves writing and communicating something into this reality. Also, we have the Venus story. Venus is in Leo in your 8th house. She'll be there all the way through early June to early October. This will be a transit bringing you more prosperity and chunky money. Yes, a chunk of money. It can happen through a marriage or a marriage-like partner or business partnership. That's because Venus will conjoin with Juno there as well. This is also a time in which you just basically, during that transit, really have a lot of ability to generate money through stock markets and through get your perfect mortgage, get a loan, and really benefit in those 4 months on the financial front. Now, the Jupiter brings the money luck, though. So some of you could get a money luck Jupiter-Venus combination. I think in this case, the square just looks like money luck, June, July, August, September. However, if you're in any way going to have to divide assets with a marriage or love and romance partner, Venus here can be that story of some tension between the romantic bounty in the second house and the fifth house, and Venus trying to separate monies out in the 8th house, because that's your alimony spousal support part of the chart. And not to worry you, but could happen. Oh, there's a possibility here, June, July, August, September, of secret love relationships. Venus in the forbidden fruit house, love in a secret, connected to Jupiter in the 5th. Maybe also leisure travel involving romantic love. And if you're single, you could meet somebody on a trip, but you would keep it a secret for some reason and not tell the world about that particular romantic thing. The window for that is June, July, August, and September. Lastly, your children benefit from this transit. They get some luck that you get to see them getting lucky breaks thanks to your sky. Jupiter in your 5th house will give them luck. But if there's money tension in the 8th, maybe they want you to give them money for school or something, and you're like, June, July, August, September, your kids want to borrow money, maybe, and you're the lendee, and you're like, I don't think so. You're maybe not too sure about that. Next. I'm not getting COVID. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so. Like and subscribe. You guys know the drill. If you're in the live premiere, thank you so much for being here. And somehow I just lost my screen. I don't even know what to say. What happened? Exit out of that? Yeah, okay. Changing the backdrop again so it's easy for you guys to follow. We're going to go to 2 signs and we are done. First is Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. For Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign, this is a transit that's coming to you for the first time since June of 2011 to June of 2012, as this transit goes through your house of property, land, home, and real estate, and offers up success in all of those areas, including teaching from home or having luck in and from your home, or maybe a guru or teacher coming to your home. Who knows? However, this transit, for the most part, will be expansive for where you live, and you can get a larger home, a more wealthy home, or prosperity through homeland and real estate endeavors. When I think about me back in June of 11 to June of 12, I sold a property. I made some money in that selling of a legal triplex building in my city that I live in. And I was experiencing some lucky breaks as well with other endeavors to do with my home life. Now, it's different this time, right? Because this time we have Uranus, and that's since 1940-41 hasn't been here in Taurus with Jupiter, and this is exciting. This is going to open up a big energy, exciting, especially next April. Like, boom, yay! What'd you do? Like, did you luck out property, land, home, and real estate, the best mansion you've ever owned, but it's all very exciting, very sudden, very dramatic, very blow it up energy, especially next April. As you build towards that, however, there's other things happening. Saturn is in your second house and has not been there either for 30 years. Last time Saturn hooked up with Jupiter in this combination of a sextile was April of 1964, and it's back June the 19th of 2023. Whoa. So there's excitement here because Saturn wants to stabilize your money, and he'll be stabilizing your earnings and making you Aquarians richer over the next 3 years. Believe it or not, people are afraid of this transit. It's great for Aquarius rising. Saturn's the Lord of your sky. For the most part, most of you will find you're working a bit harder, but you're more conservative financially, and you're able to save money for a change. And as Saturn moves through your second house, make some of your financial goals a reality, hooking up with Neptune. And as Saturn moves through this part of your sky, maybe income from Neptunian things like film, videography, storytelling, photography, transcendence, enlightenment. As Saturn goes through here, though, he starts off this year by talking to Jupiter on the 19th of June and saying, hey, I'm in your house. I'm over here in the Pisces zone. What do you want from me? And Jupiter says, we want a big home, a beautiful home, a wealthy home, expansive home, or good, lucky things happening in and from my home. So keep that in mind because it amplifies your earnings and it makes your money story much more juicy all the way through to next May, but a lot of excitement in the June-July period as we see the sextile energy connecting. Also, we have some square energy from Venus in the 7th house of clients, audience, legal contracts, business partners, and marriage partners. Now, if you're single, there's certainly a possibility you could meet somebody during this transit of Venus through your 7th house. All right, so just keep that in mind, June through to October. Otherwise, if you're with somebody, there should be a lot of good things happening for your partner. Sometimes when people get it, the 7th house isn't really about you. This means your partner's getting some luck, some beauty, some good things going on, especially around contracts and agreements for their lives, not even about you. And interestingly enough, if that's going on, this could cause some tension between the good bounty you're feeling in the home and something that's going on with them, because maybe they're having some success story of their own and it's taking them away from the home, as in you're not so fond of them being away from your home. That's just an example, especially since Venus rules the house of foreign lands and travel, and some of them may be off and gallivanting around the world, and you're like, oh, darn it, I'm not having fun with my person. They're succeeding, but I don't have them in the home as much as I'd like. If that's to happen at all, that will definitely be more like a June, July, August, September story, okay? As that's the time that Venus is transiting there. Touch points on June 11th, August 22nd, and September 17th. If you want to make a legal contract or agreement that benefits you around home, property, land, and real estate, June 11th, August 22nd, September 17th, those are the times that are very critical. Pay attention to those dates. And that's about it. We're moving into the last but not least of our first but always first. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. Here we go. Are you that? Pisces, Jupiter rules you. Jupiter in Taurus is a big deal for you. Jupiter moving through your natal 4th house is, 4th house, I apologize. Jupiter moving as a Pisces rising is going to open up a corridor of goodness that lasts a year, your 3rd house. Now, if you're a writer, this is amazing. If you're busy in the online world with blogging, marketing, selling periodicals and magazines, yay, lucky you. If you have anything going on with siblings that is, they can benefit you. Siblings benefit you. You have lucky breaks in goodness and prosperity through and by siblings or aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews. You also could be very busy traveling. Jupiter loves to travel. Let's get on a plane, he says, fly the friendly skies. And when he's in the travel house, there's a lot of travel. It could be domestic or within the, country or continent you're in, for sure, but you're busy on the road. You're traveling for some reason. So a lot of you are back and forth. You're benefiting from siblings, but you're also busy perhaps doing a lot of travel. If you're wanting to learn something, Jupiter helps you learn something you can actually practically use. And if you're like me, a teacher, it may be a time in which you're doing a lot of teaching. but it's certainly amazing for skills-based learning during this transit. And I've got a wasp wanting to come in my house, and I'm not happy with that. Let me close my window, guys. I'll be right back. Goodbye, wasp. Go away. Go away. No. Thank you. I'm back. I'm back. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. I got rid of the darn wasp. And here I am again. So keep all that in mind. It's an ideal time, though, to learn something. Don't go back and get your doctorate or something. It's skills-based learning. Go to college or go to, learn how to knit or something like that. Learn a skill. And this is true for the entirety of, May 16th of this year to May 25th of next year. With this sextile from Saturn that we haven't seen since 1964, April, especially around June 19th when it's more precise, give or take a few days, this could simply be something to do with what you are wanting to create from a serious, realistic, sober-minded stance regarding travel, trips, education, siblings, and all of that. You have the helmsman there, like you got Saturn, not really a helmsman, you got Saturn making you more sober and responsible and serious about your life, connecting to questions and opportunities with siblings and travel. It could be very literal, just June 19th, you're in touch with a sibling, traveling to a sibling travels to see you. All possible. There's a big bolt of excitement here, of course, next year, right? In April, when Uranus Jupiter conjuncts Uranus, and like April 18th or something next year. And holy man, it's like excitement in travel opportunities and educational opportunities and online opportunities and local neighborhood opportunities and things to do with the siblings and opportunities. Yay. But that Saturn transit ongoing for 3 years until February of 26 in the house of your identity is going to make you way more realistic and way more authoritarian and the author of your life than you normally may be. All right. Now, you could also be actualizing a lot of your deepest visions and dreams for what you want with Neptune there. There's some tension in the sky, though. June, July, August, September, Venus moves through Taurus. Very rare long transit in the house of health. Now, she bonifies your health and tries to prevent sickness here, which is wonderful. So keep that in mind. And yet she's got some tension going on with the trips and travel placement of Jupiter. So be careful that you're not, overdoing your travel to the detriment of your health. As well, Venus here can bring you some really great opportunities for beautiful pets, very lucky breaks regarding pets, or the words rental and real estate and land and property to rent usually, or rent out or rent yourself. Things to do here with debt can be removed as Venus moves through June, July, August, September. If you have any debt, she also is the lord of your 8th house, the stock market. So you can have some good stock things happen June, July, August, September. But there's tension from Jupiter. Is there tension with a sibling regarding debt? Does a sibling owe you money or you owe them any money? It looks like something's trying to resolve June 11th, August 22nd, and September 17th. And you could make a case that maybe there's a sibling money story unfolding for some of you, or an aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, and nephew story regarding funds and finances. And Venus in your 6th house. A woman in the workplace, female coworker, some kind of contractual agreements that could be coming through that person. That are also maybe at odds with some things that you would like to do, maybe even just enjoying your local neighborhood. Jupiter in the 3rd. It's like time when you want to go to restaurants and pubs and have fun and just enjoy the local hood, but maybe work obligations and work situations could be interfering, especially June, July, August, and September. A lot of you will travel, however, perhaps even during the summer, and some of that could be connected, especially before September, because Jupiter is going direct. And with Venus in your 6th house, some of that travel will be work related. And the tension may be just that you'd rather be traveling for pure fun, but you'll have to travel because of work situations. Okay, that's about all I have to say. Look at my longer video that I created that was out in December of 2022. I'll put the link in the playlist. If you're still tracking me in the and you're still watching this, thank you for hanging in there this long. I appreciate it. I am going to get myself some food, and thank you for listening, and hit the bell for notifications. Check my description box for what I'm offering. You guys know the drill. Thanks so very, very much.